uh, link before the end of next week, kind of dependent on our IT's ability to do that. So we'll get that done. Also, if you can, please use the chat area for any questions we may have, particularly during Rob and Casey's sort of report out portion. So if you have questions, use the chat area so we can get to you and get all your questions answered. And the last thing with the this morning, some of the counties are a little further along. So I'd love to have a couple counties that are willing to volunteer to do a report out, give us a little bit of a progress. A little bit of a progress.
Yeah, are you actually going to move the stuff today or just?
So we can get a little bit of a progress report. I think some, any nugget of information that a county can provide to the others that are still a little bit behind and getting things moving might help them move the needle a little bit. So definitely want to use this time while we have everybody together to try to do that. So if you're willing to report out, just put that in the comments if you could, that you're willing to do so, and we'll call on you at that time. So with that, we'll introduce the BSCC team, and then we'll move right on into the invoicing and the modifications with Rob. So Casey, do you want to introduce yourself first?
Sure. Hi, my name is Casey Warmoth. I'm the Chief of Research here at the BSCC, and I'll be reviewing the annual progress reports with you all today. And if you have questions or need technical assistance as it gets closer to those, I'll be assisting you with that as well. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Robert Hansen. I'm the fiscal analyst for this grant. I'm going to go over a couple of things on invoicing today, and then I will open up for Q&A on any questions you have about invoicing and budget modifications. So let me just roll right into a couple of updates with invoicing. The first thing I want to mention about invoicing is when you are going into OneDrive to access your invoices, make sure that you're not uploading anything into OneDrive. We want all of those documents that you want us to see to be emailed to the mobile probation inbox, and then I can move them from there into a folder that we have set up for you. The second thing I wanted to bring up is that we have quite a few who have still not invoiced yet. And believe it or not, when May rolls around, we will be halfway through with this grant invoicing. So if I don't, after next month, if I still have 0 invoices, I will be sending out emails requesting what your plan is as far as spending. The good thing about this is y'all going to be spending a big chunk on 1 or 2 items. So, it shouldn't be that much of a concern, but I do want to bring that to your attention. We want to make sure that you're able to spend this money down and use all of it for the needs of this program. And the third thing I want to talk about is if you do make any changes in the workbook, please email me or email the mobile probation inbox to let me know that there's been changes, because I've had a few that didn't let me know, and they just kind of sit there if I don't know there's any changes to the workbook. So please just let me know. And my last point is we still have not received a lot of the letters that we need in order for you to make purchases over $3,500. So I have emailed those out to everybody. If you need me to re-email that to you, please shoot me an email and I will get you a sample copy of the letter that we need to have on file for you to purchase the items, the large items that you need. So at that point, that's all of my updates. I appreciate all of you getting them in a timely manner. So I think there's only a couple that I'm still waiting on for this invoicing period, which is pretty decent for a week and a half out from invoicing. At this time, I will go ahead and open this up to any questions, concerns you have about your invoices, or any budget modification questions.
If you have any questions for Rob, go ahead and raise your hand in the chat area or type the question in and we'll get to it. Seeing none,
Alrighty.
unless people are typing diligently and I'm getting ahead of them. But seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on. We'll get back to questions if we see them pop up or if something comes to mind. As we're progressing through the meeting, feel free to ask the question and we'll get to it. We definitely want to maximize the time while we have everybody here today. So moving on, we will do some project report outs. I have one volunteer. So Aaron from Placer County, if you wouldn't mind kind of sharing your journey so far.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us today. Placer County did buy a Sprinter van that was partially built out at initial purchase a few months back. We have put it into service pending completion of the IT equipment being installed, things of that nature. So what we're doing is we're finding workarounds, but making sure the vehicle is out in our homeless encampments and getting familiarized with the county and getting the community used to seeing us out there. So much like we did with the very first one that kind of got this grant kicked off, was we figure we don't know what we don't know until we use it more. So that may actually even change some of our build out decisions. So we kind of know where we want to build this and how it will look, but we have it out in the field multiple days a week, working with the community at large. And as we see additional needs, whether that be shifting where a seat's going to go, a desk is going to go, things like that, we're able to talk with our builders that have quotes in and make those adjustments.
Nice. And are you seeing any what are you seeing relative to success with access to probationers? Are you to that point yet, or you're still in the build-up phase?
Oh, no, absolutely. So again, we already had a larger, bigger one from a few years back. That one is had limitations due to its size. We have a lot of bridges up here that have weight capacity issues, and some of the roads are quite small. So the way we've got it broken up is we have a team that uses the big one in the bigger, larger communities where there's access available. And the remainder of the team is using the smaller one to get down those kind of smaller dirt trails and smaller like river encampments, things of that nature. And also had some successful transports as well, people getting into treatment and getting into housing. So that's worked pretty well thus far using the smaller van that we now have.
That's great. Well, thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Aaron? What Placer County is doing? All right, that was my only volunteer. So I think I'm going to bring up a quick topic just to address it, because I had multiple questions that came up from the beginning. So I think some of you are aware there was a state mandate that any purchase of fleet vehicles had to have, I think 50% of the vehicles had to be electric vehicles. I don't remember exactly which counties had asked me that. So we were able to respond to those individual counties. But if any of you have that same question or same dilemma, what we've done at BSCC is we've just analyzed the legislation that went forward, and I think it became effective January 1st. And our feedback is really that it's up to your county council how they're going to interpret that and how it's going to impact your fleet and your purchases. So if your county council says you have to go 50-50 and you're buying 2 cars or two vans, whatever you're purchasing, then you guys have to make that decision at the county level if you're going to do one electric and one gas. We can't really provide any direction to you other than that. So seek that input from your county council. It looks like Orange County has also commented. Connie, are you willing to report out to the group? And then we'll move on to the next section of we'll just have those 2 report outs if you're willing.
Sure. We have been able to procure 2 33-foot RVs. They're in Ohio. We are contracted with a company there that had one already on site, and then the second one is being delivered. We've worked with their team they're empty shells, and so we worked with their team to do two different designs. So they're going to serve two different functions. One will be more like a mobile office where we'll be able to conduct court and have meetings. The other one is going to be more of a mobile outreach where we can have a wardrobe closet. There's changing rooms in the back, so clients can come in and get outfits, but we can also work with a staffing agency because one side will be a row of desks that we can do job applications and that kind of stuff. We're hoping that one will be delivered by February of 2025. And the other one shortly there. Actually, I think November, we're looking at one of them being delivered, the one that was already on site, and then February of 2025 for the second one. And I'll be going out to Ohio in the fall to look at the progress and get some training on how they work. So that's where we're at right now.
Have you had any issues procuring any of the equipment?
Yeah, lots.
Supply chain stuff or?
A supply chain, just finding what we were looking for, even knowing what I was looking for, like, go ahead and find some RVs, but there was a lot of information that, luckily our fleet team and county procurement were kind of able to help, and then we have a couple RVs already in our county. So we did tours and talked to their folks to see what worked, what didn't. What would you have done different if you could do your RV all over again? And then finding them was the hard one, understanding what chassis I needed and that kind of stuff. But the company we ended up going with has been super helpful in guiding us, and we're actually looking at them to do another mobile vehicle project. So
great. Well, thank you. Any questions for Connie in Orange County? Also have, let's see, I've got a bunch of counties now that are willing to jump in. So let's see, how about Merced? Charlie, want to give us a little update?
Hi, good morning. My name's Charlie Fergulia. I'm a Director of Administrative Services for Merced County Probation Department. And like Orange County, we are working with the same vendor, I believe it's Farber Specialty Group. And we went with that vehicle service because we had already had an arrangement with the county through our Merced County Library. They had a bookmobile system going on. So we had initially had a 26 foot van type setup earlier in the year as what we were going to go with. However, due to the recent change in the law into the California law, we ended up going with a coach style 33 foot RV van. And we too are it's currently our outreach to our pathways to outreach is what we're calling it at the moment. So it's really for outreach to make sure that our probation officers and other county agencies can meet in this facility, and we're going to have an office space in the back. Our team went out to Ohio late January, early February. So we did the interior design work of that. We got to look at the facility. We had a great tour. We were able to make decisions on the aesthetics, which was important to make sure that it was more welcoming and not like a standard law enforcement vehicle. We wanted to make sure that the colors and the scope are going to be something that allow people to feel more comfortable, because we understand that the people that we're outreaching to may be triggered by certain things. So we're trying to be mindful of that. And as far as our purchasing part of it, we haven't submitted anything as of yet because we had to change our purchase order to make the arrangements for that different type of vehicle and engine. So at this point, we have a purchase order with them. We haven't solidified any kind of the funds yet, but we have the approval through our county to do that. So we're just waiting for our final purchase order to clear so we can go ahead and get that started. So hopefully, I'm not sure when we're going to actually be able to invoice out. However, we are actively involved with them and making sure that we're getting ourselves set up. The next step in this is also installing a solar outlet at our location that we're going to house this unit, because it has solar panels on it. And we don't have a 50 amp charger solar system set up yet, but we are working on that at our county level as well. And this is fully probation's project. We do have to receive county approval. However, the funding and everything is it's ours. We report to the court. We don't report to the county, so it makes it a little different for us. Do you have anybody have any questions? No. Okay. Well, that's it for Merced. I hope that's enough.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
that. How about Elizabeth with Fresno? Want to report out?
Yes, good morning, Elizabeth Arredondo with Fresno County Probation. I'm Assistant Deputy Chief here. I'm assigned to the AB 109 Rural Supervision Unit. That's what I oversee, so I was very happy to take on this project. We have 2 cargo vans that we bought as is, so they're kind of set up like for you to go out camping. And we're so I think kind of like what Plaster did is like you kind of don't know until you kind of get it out there. So we can say since October, we've been trying to establish ourselves with some partner community people in our rural communities right now to kind of get that outreach going. Our most successful spot right now has been, we found one church that really works with already that population. They already provide services to them. So it really works for us to be like, we're bringing it down by not parking at like a police station or parking anywhere that might kind of create that, I don't want to go there type of situation. So partnering with we've gone to a couple different community churches that have allowed us to go to their parking lot. We've parked, we've been able to set up appointments. We meet with people. We're now kind of established. It's kind of working. We still haven't figured out what we want the van to look like. What we've been doing is we've now got equipment. We've set up tables. We have tents. We're kind of working outside of the van. The van is kind of more to be able to house all of our equipment. It just kind of gives it a little bit more of a low-key vibe when they come out and visit with us. It's been working. Our officers have been using it, to conduct some of their assessments. Our goal is to maybe convert part of it into being able to connect people with maybe some of our collaborative agencies in regarding other assessments and other treatment, maybe even court, but we haven't gotten there just yet. We've just been kind of establishing ourselves as getting out there, our people knowing that we're going to be there reliably, which has been a big deal. We've been having a lot of rain. There was one of our dates we had, it was pouring. And we really contemplated, like, should we cancel it? Should we cancel it? We didn't. We went out there and our people came out and said, oh my God, we thought you guys were going to flake on us. And all of our appointments still showed up on that horrible rainy day, and us being out there made a big difference. So I think it's the goal, when you look at some of the reporting information, it's like, okay, we're helping, making sure we're stable for them coming out, and they know we're going to be there. They're connecting with us, and we're hopefully going to make better outcomes for our people by continuing to meet them where they need us. So it's kind of where we're at. We haven't decided what we want to do full conversion in the van. Right now it's just kind of more storage, and it looks really nice. But we are getting out there to some of our communities and starting to make connections. So any questions?
Thank you. Appreciate that. Let's move on to Christine with San Diego County.
Good morning. This is Christine Lefebvre with San Diego County. We have not, it seems like we haven't gotten very far, but it's taken us a long time to get to this. It sounds like some of the other counties who've reported out, we have had some challenges, I think, with supply, and we actually had challenges with interest. We did not get we actually had to extend our RFP because we didn't get anybody applying to build our vehicles. with our first solicitation. So we've hired a company. We're in a contract now with a company in the state of Washington. They appear to be awesome. They check off all the boxes. So hopefully there won't be any additional challenges. We had our pre-build meeting with them just last week, actually, and they were purchasing the chassis right after our meeting. So we are hopefully on track to have the vehicles completed by March 1 of 2025. In order to have them completed in that final invoice before the March 15th deadline. But our vehicles are going to be, they're actually going to be more work vehicles, command trucks. They're about 30 feet in length, with about 22 feet of workspace. They'll have 4 onboard workstations, including one that's wheelchair accessible. There is a wheelchair ramp that's stored under the vehicle, so it doesn't take up any space on the vehicle. We've got loads of storage space for folding tables, chairs, naloxone, hygiene products, even like a closet for clothing and some essentials that we can give to people who stop by. We'll have capability for video conferencing both on the vehicle as well as outside. We'll have a station outside where we can put install a TV outside and include headphones and partitions for privacy, and conceivably somebody can actually attend a court hearing or something else via teleconferencing off the vehicle. Our plan is to have extra laptops available, and folding tables and chairs, so that individuals, if they want to job search, can even come and job search at our vehicle using our equipment. Let's see what else. I'm hoping to partner with some of our other agencies, nonprofits like mobile showers, etc., in our county. Partnering up to when we actually do deploy the vehicles in a year or a little over a year, that we can have additional services available. The vehicles will have PA systems. They're awesome. And we are also working to contract with portable restrooms so that we can have ADA compliant restrooms and washing stations on site with us. That's the quick skinny.
That's great. Thank you.
Oh, and they are, I'm sorry, our vehicles are going to be gas, and they have solar on board as well.
Any questions for Christine? Hearing none, how about Kelly in San Mateo?
Hi, I'm Kelly Keene. I'm a probation services manager with San Mateo County. And we have a few other members from the department on the call, but I'm the spokesperson today. So we got our vans. So we have 2 Thor Rise vehicles, and we got them in September, mid-September last year. And the main thing that we've been working on since then has been kind of outfitting them with the equipment that we need. We've gotten most of it at this point, and we're working on some of the more technical things like getting the Wi-Fi established and things like that. Staff have expressed some interest in them. There's still some questions about how exactly it's going to work, but we've worked on kind of promoting them through staff meetings and then through our newsletter, and then we recently had a naming contest for the band, so that was kind of fun. And we're working on finalizing a training video and instructions, and then there are some things that we need to do with our case management system so that we can accurately collect the data, and the hope is to begin deploying them next month. Last year in December, our mental health treatment court had their annual Christmas party. And so we were able to take one of the vans down there and just kind of park it in a parking lot in a high traffic area. just so that people could get some exposure to it. And there was a lot of interest and kind of curiosity about how we're going to be using them, and just kind of the concept of a mobile probation service in general. So that was exciting. We had staff walking by, and also because it was a court program event, we also had some of the clients come out, and they were pretty interested in seeing it out in the community. Some of the challenges that we have come across are getting collaboration from community partners. Churches is definitely an interesting idea, and we should probably look into that also. But yeah, places like shelters and Service Connect, where we were hoping to be able to kind of do like a one-stop shop kind of thing for services, they have expressed some resistance to having a law enforcement entity on site, as they don't want people to not come there for services because they're afraid of being contacted by us. So we're trying to work on some education around that for staff to let them know that that's not our intent, but that's going to take some time. And then lastly, one of the things that we've been working on is having a formal discussion with labor. And the discussion went well and was productive, but there are concerns around safety. So next week, one of our other managers is going to come and do kind of like a tour of the vehicles with a labor representative. So hopefully we can work together to iron out some of those issues. And that's it.
That's great. So you didn't tell us what the name of the band is after the contest.
We landed on Probe to Go.
Probe to Go. That's great.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
We've had a few more counties, so let's go to Beth in Mariposa.
Good morning. I am the spokesperson this morning. I primarily drive the vehicle. I don't necessarily do the speaking, so here we go. We purchased a Thor scope motor vehicle. I don't know. We call it Thor. It's about 20 feet long, and we didn't gut it. We took it as is. It's like a little RV. We use it for client appointments right now. Mariposa, I don't know if you're all familiar with where Mariposa is. We're but 1 hour away from Yosemite National Park. So we're a rural mountain community, and our clientele is spread throughout the entire mountainous region. So we purchased Starlink, so we can also help our clients who are North County get their services. If they need SUD services, or if they need to do a court appearance, we can assist them in getting them on a Zoom call one way or another. Our community partners have been very excited about this. We've taken trips with other community partners that assist with substance use and housing. And they're really enjoying the collaboration. I'm also the drug court officer. So it's been kind of easy for me to be, I'm the primary driver. I don't know if other people are just nervous to drive the big vehicle, but with it being a brand new vehicle, the turning radius is amazing. I do wish we had gotten a 4-wheel drive or an all-wheel drive for this vehicle. So when it gets rainy and snowy and icy, it's not really manageable. So that's something I could see as a challenge, especially since we are in a mountainous region. So we have the ability to do our client appointments in it. The chairs swivel. I've taken it to our homeless encampment. I've taken it to our emergency shelter. And I've also partnered with Health and Human Services to just get little hygiene bags because a lot of our clientele are homeless. So I'll ask them, do you need some shampoo, some conditioner, toothbrush, toothpaste? We still need to get some naloxone on board, but I always carry it in my vest. And then we also use the vehicle for community outreach projects. And then we've entered it into parades within the county. Also we're in the mountains, it will likely potentially be a command center for any future fires. So whether it's clientele or if staff need to come and sit down and take a break because we get deployed to assist with those emergencies. But those are our primary goals, and we do drug testing. And as soon as we're done with this meeting, I'm headed North County to drug test a lot of people in Thor and, you know, take it all over the place. Our clients are excited about it. We've also used it to not just do drug testing, but to also facilitate putting on drug testing patches. So it's a private area, even for those who are homeless living in encampments. It gives them a little bit of privacy. That's our report.
Great, thank you. Let's see, we also have Thomas of San Bernardino.
Hello, Thomas Kamara, Director of Probation Administration, San Bernardino County. As most of you are aware, so San Bernardino being the largest geographical region in the state, a program like this really will come in handy. And so when we proposed a plan for this grant, it was to get 3 sort of Sprinter van type utility vehicles that would serve some of the more remote regions of the county. The issue we've been having thus far is that of satisfying the competitive procurement requirements that our county has. And so hearing some of the other counties report out on the successes that they've had in purchasing the vehicles, I'm really happy about that, and we might reach out to some of our partners to navigate this. Where we're at right now, we're working with a vendor, Mobile Concepts. I don't know if anyone else has worked with them. And the problem we have is that they can offer us the vans, but in a pretty standard format. The fully kitted out versions that we want that would be similar to somewhat what the other counties have reported out on in terms of having the workspace and other functionalities to carry out probation work mobily. They're in the process of including some of those items in their GSA contract that they have. We want to go that route because then we don't have to go through the competitive procurement route and you know, with the time factor and everything else that might require. So at the moment, we're waiting for Mobile Concepts to update their GSA contract with some of these products so that we can just order directly from them and not have to go through a lengthy process of competitive bidding. So, you know, if anyone else has encountered such issues, I'll be more than happy to hear from them, because competitive procurement is sometimes a challenge when it comes to satisfying the requirements of these grants. That's all I have. We do have other participants from the operational side on this call, and I don't know if we necessarily want to go into great details on the plan, but it's pretty much similar to what most other counties are planning to use it for. I think for us, what's unique is the fact that the county is so vast and there's so many remote areas that these vehicles would definitely serve some isolated populations.
Well, thank you, Thomas. I think if you want to use the chat, I think you posed a couple questions, or if there's any counties that want to provide their contact information to Thomas so he can reach out to you, I think that'd be great.
Thank you very much.
Let's move on to Yolanda with Santa Cruz.
Hi, yes. Good morning, everyone. So just some of the initial, we don't have our ban yet, but some of the initial challenges that we had initially was really trying to understand our new purchasing process that the county had entered last year. So once we overcame that new way of doing business, we were able to meet with the agency or the business that is going to upfit our vehicle. So we were able to look at sketches that they have put together for other businesses. And so we're hoping to be able to receive our vans in August. And we're hoping to do a few projects, such as having warrant relief opportunities with our public defender's office to do record clearances, to provide our clients with programming needs out in their communities. So really connecting with city and county agencies to find out where our unhoused populations reside and or hang out, so that we can make sure that we're meeting them where they are. For us, that's going to involve probably the Santa Cruz Mountains, in the city of Santa Cruz proper, also going to agricultural places to really connect with individuals who may be unhoused, but maybe not staying in some of the encampments that we have. We're hoping to be able to partner with Health and Human Services to be able to really do some CalAIM engagement and connection to those benefits, and be able to provide those in our community who are eligible for any of the services that we provide in our brick and mortar success center, but to be able to take those services to where they are. And also connecting with other, I guess, CBOs in our community who provide food, who provide showers and laundry. So making sure that we can connect with those individuals so that we can kind of partner up and be able to have like full service for our clients. So other things that we talked about was utilizing the van for, like, we participate in a trunk or treat event every year. So again, getting the van out in the community so that people can see that it's nothing to be fearful of, that we are here to provide a service to our community, and any other youth events that we have going on. So that's kind of where we are in Santa Cruz County.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate that. And our last report out will be Sacramento.
Hi, everyone. Hopefully everyone can hear me. Having issues with my microphone. So here we are in Sacramento. We are rolling right along. We've purchased 2 pickup trucks to service our unhoused, and we've purchased 3 vans, 1 for our juvenile side and a couple for our adult operations. Those are about to be wrapped. Our trucks are going to be wrapped actually on Tuesday. And the build out of our trucks will be in the next couple of months with our fleet services. Our vans, we've gone through the design process and bidding with a vendor to do our van build out. They currently have taken 2 of them, with the 3rd one will be shortly behind. Our van build out will essentially consist of a one-stop shop, is how we kind of like to think of it. They'll be able to travel out to the communities, into the encampments. The trucks will have the ability to go even further into tough terrain. But the vans will essentially be an office setting, a comfortable place for them to come into or be outside. If they don't want to be in the van, they'll be able to meet with the officer, get their warrants cleared. We have built in a lot of storage, so that will include toiletry kits for them. It has a oh my gosh, sorry, my brain just went blank. clothing closet for them. We'll be handing out food, some drink, hot drinks. We'll try to get them in the winter time, cold water in the summertime, get them out of the inclement weather. We're gonna build up some of our community collaborations. So we hope to have some providers right along with us, whether that's employment specialists, our RN, our nurse. We've also talked about the counselors coming out, potentially our chaplains, or even some volunteer vets to accompany us to help service some of our clients that have pets out there with them and get them some health services for their pets. Along with that, we're kind of looking at some additional ways we can spend our funds. Some of those we're looking at possibly some off-road vehicles like ATV type things to help get into some of the terrain that's real tough for the bigger vehicles to get into. So that's pretty much where we're at right now. We're mid build out. We're going to be wrapping our vans probably close to May. So we think we'll get them out on the streets shortly thereafter. That's pretty much it for us.
That's it. Any questions for Sacramento? Okay, thank you. Well, with that said, I think we'll cut off the report outs just to make sure that we have plenty of time for the progress report presentation that Casey is going to do. So thank you all for your willingness to report out. That was great, very informative and good to hear. It's hard on this end of the equation when we're just kind of getting documents and moving things back and forth to really see and feel the progress, because you can kind of hear the excitement about what you guys are moving forward with. So really appreciate that. So with that, Casey, do you want to jump in?
Sure, thank you. So thank you guys all for joining the call today. We have a great turnout here, and it's been really great to hear the progress of your projects and what some of your challenges are. I have been taking notes in the event that we do some report outs on a statewide basis. So thank you all for sharing. So what I will be covering today are the annual progress report templates. What I'll be discussing with you is where to find them. I'll review each section of the reports at a high level to discuss the information and data that are being requested. I'll share with you some of the resources that are available. Specifically, we have what I refer to as our data reporting guide, which gives detailed instructions on due dates, the data that we're collecting on each section, data definitions, and even some guidance on calculating some of the metrics and guidance around what to include and what not. And then finally, the due dates and how to submit those annual progress reports. So before I get started on that, I just want to say thank you to you all for your patience as we work to finalize the progress report templates. We did receive some feedback from you all, and that did result in changing the proposed progress reports that we initially started with. And I'm hoping that right now we've landed in a good spot where we're able to share your guys' success and story in a way that we can collect data across 25 different unique projects. So hopefully we've landed in a good spot here. So I am going to share screen here and start first with showing you all where you can find the resources. Bear with me here. So you all should be able to see the web page here at the BSCC for the Mobile Probation Services Grant. And I'll just, if you all don't know where this is, I'll put this link in the chat for you. But the information on the progress reports is down here around the middle of the page. And there's a tab here, Progress Reports. So when you click on this tab, you'll see the data reporting overview, which is really kind of a guide to assist you with the reporting requirements. And then also there are 4 different templates for each progress report that is due. So you will find each progress report template that you need to fill out here. They are Word templates, so you just need to have access to Microsoft Word to complete those. And then finally, you'll also see the link here for submission. So once you've completed that Word document, that's the progress report, you'll just save that on your local computer. And then this link will take you here to a form to submit that. That form looks like this here that I'm sharing with you. You'll just select yourself as your county as the grantee. Enter the name of the individual who's submitting, email address, which progress report is being submitted, and then the submission type, whether it's a first or resubmission. So we will review the progress reports that are submitted, and if we have any questions intended to clarify the data or understand it better, we will reach out to you with those. And based on what we learn or discuss, if there is a potential scenario where you may want to resubmit a progress report with either updated or clarifying information. And in that case, you would choose it being a resubmission. And then you just drag and drop that file that you saved for the progress report here. Or you can browse your files on your computer and attach it and click submit. And we will get that in real time, and we'll all have access to that. Okay. So that's a high-level overview of where to find the forms and resources. I think this page you'll want to refer to, when each annual progress report is due, in the event that any updates are necessary to these, or we may update the data reporting guide as we, work through any questions you all may have. We may update that to share that information with everyone. Okay. And of course, we're always available for technical assistance. You can request that by emailing the grant inbox. That will ensure that all of the team members who support this grant at the BSCC are aware of your question, and it gets routed to the right person. And then also, as the first due date approaches, which is August 15th for your first annual progress report, I will be hosting what I refer to as office hours, where I will put out dates and times that I'm available that you can sign up for to have one-on-one assistance with any questions that you may have about completing the progress report. And I will send out information about how to sign up for that and what those dates and times are closer to that August 15th due date. Okay. So with that, I am going to switch my screen share to share the first annual progress report template and that data reporting guide. And I'll kind of display them side by side. Hopefully that works out. Hopefully you guys all have large monitors and we'll be able to see them both. But we'll review the progress report template, and then I'll show you where some critical information is in the guide. And we'll just talk at a high level about what those sections are requesting, and I'll take any questions that you have. So as we go through a section, I'll pause at the end of each section to take any questions you have, and you can ask those by either typing it in chat or, unmuting and asking the question. So it's really kind of an informal overview of those data reporting guides. So let me make sure that I get this set up correctly. And one moment, I'm still working on it. Nope. Okay. So Michael or Rob, if you can confirm what you guys are able to see, on the left should be the first annual progress report template, and on the right should be the data reporting overview. Can I get a thumbs up, or I want to make sure I'm sharing the right thing before I start?
That's what I'm seeing, Casey.
Okay, great. Yeah. Thank you.
Sorry, I was on mute.
All right. So here on the data reporting guide, we do talk about the, intent of the grant program, which you guys all well understand. But it does briefly to talk about the questions that we're seeking to answer with the data that we'll be collecting through the progress report templates. It does include on the second page a table that outlines the due dates for each progress report and the period of time in which data should be provided for. So the data that you're submitting in that progress report should be representative of these time periods. And then for each progress report, it does outline the sections that are included within those reports. So the data that we're collecting does remain consistent across all 4 of the progress reports. The only thing that you'll see different is in the first annual progress report, we have a section to collect baseline data. And this is collecting data for the year leading up to the grant program. So July 1 of 2022 to June 30 of 2023. I realize the grant program started in May, but most of you weren't fully under contract yet and were not, hadn't, vehicles and put them in implementation yet by June 30th of 2023. So selecting that as the year before the grant period gave us comparable years of comparison with the service period of the grant. And then finally, the other thing you'll see differently is at the end of the project report, there is a section that asks about your overall implementation experience with the grant program as a whole. So this would be your reflections across all 4 years of the grant program, as opposed to in these annual progress reports, we'll be asking you about the challenges you encountered during that reporting period. So specifically to that 1-year time frame. Okay. So what I'll do is over here in this first annual progress report, review these sections, knowing that everything that's in this first annual progress report is included in the second, third, and end of project report, with the exception of obviously the baseline data collection. And then once we get through that, I'll kind of show you what we'll be asking you in that end of project report about your implementation experience. And that's all qualitative or narrative type responses to, tell a story about your experience with implementing the project. Okay. All right, so I will move on here to the first section, which is referred to as the baseline data section. And in this section, we do ask for the number of mobile probation service centers that were in operation as of June 30th, 2023. So this will allow us to track the increase in mobile probation service centers over time, over the years of the grant program, and collecting, how many were in service prior to the grant program. So as you've heard, Placer County already had one. So we'd be able to know prior to the grant program across all grantees, how many were already in operation across the grantees. Okay, and this is a point in time count as of June 30th. The data reporting guide here over on the right, I believe it's starting on page 13, has a data dictionary. And it provides information on how we define a mobile probation service center. So this could be a truck, it could be a van, it could be an RV, it could even be a trailer. But anything that's being used to provide services to the target population. And it was in operation, meaning it was fully equipped, staffed, and could have been deployed for its intended purpose. So, for example, on June 30th, that may be one day that it just wasn't in use because staff, were off that day, but could it have been in use is the question. And so that would be, if you had one and it was just out the day before, but just so happened that day you didn't use it, please report it as, yes, it's in operation. It was just, an off day that it wasn't used. Okay. The next question we have is For this data reporting, we did have to make a decision of what do we mean by the probation population. And for this, we did select the probation population as being defined as individuals who were on active formal supervision. And here we have, what I hope is a fairly clear definition of who we want in this count. So again, it is a point in time count of that population as of June 30th of 2023. And again, this is a focus on adults. So this isn't saying that your vans can't serve juveniles or people who are not on probation. We're just looking for an idea of who is in that probation population as of that date. And then the next question we have is really honing in on the target population for this grant program, which are those people who are on probation and homeless. And so this question here is asking, of those individuals who were on formal supervision, how many were homeless? Which I think the natural follow-up to that is, how does one define homeless? And so we've provided a optional definition here for you to use in terms of homelessness. Or you have the option, if you choose, to use a department-specific definition of homeless. So what we do ask, though, is that you let us know how you are defining homelessness. And if it is not the definition provided, please give us the definition you are using. So we wanted to offer you all some flexibility here around how you're defining homeless, but we do ask that however you define it, that you remain consistent in that definition and how you're counting it throughout all 4 progress reports that you submit. So for example, if you use a department-specific definition for your first progress report, we'd like you to stick with that definition for the second, third, and into progress report as well. Okay. And so that kind of concludes this section here about defining what we mean by probation and who's on probation. And then the target population, which is that active formal supervision and homeless. Do you guys have any questions at this moment before I kind of move on here? I'm going to scroll real quick. I don't see any hands raised or chat, so I'm going to continue on. Please feel free to type into chat or raise your hand if you have questions. And Rob, if you can help me monitor the raised hand, that would be great.
I have a quick question.
Yes, please.
Yeah, Greg Monte with LA County Probation. Just to be clear on the first part of how many mobile probation centers were in operation on June 30, 2023, that is not necessarily tied into the BSSC grant, correct? Because we already had 2 vehicles that were mobile office probation centers prior to this grant. Is that correct?
That is correct. We would want you to report those 2 regardless of the funding source that gave you those.
Okay, roger that. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. Okay.
I have a question. I have a question for Merced County. Sorry. I just wanted to double check to make sure that this is a snapshot for anybody who was running prior to receiving the grant. So that way you have like that number of how many people out in the community running these outreach vehicles prior to this, because we don't have a van or anything out in the community right now. So by the time around February comes around, with this, when our mobile vehicle is built, we're not going to have data for that type of outreach because we haven't done it yet. But we're going to measure ourselves against the ones prior to the grant. Is that what's happening? I'm just curious.
The intent of collecting it is really just to be able to show over time the increase in the number of the probation vehicles in operation over the field, and just to show that it was occurring before this grant but now there's a whole lot more. So it's not necessarily to judge you against others and how quickly you got it in there, just to, tell a story about how it has increased. Okay, great. All right, so moving on for that target population, we do want to collect some metrics for this population, and the metrics that we collect will remain consistent across all reporting periods and that baseline period. So a lot of grantees in their proposals discuss the purpose of their grant program in terms of outcomes that they were trying to achieve. And the most common outcomes talked about were reducing failures to appear and reducing failures to report. So what we want to do is, for this target population for the grant, which is, active formal supervision and homeless who are struggling to meet probation requirements, track and see if there are, by chance, hopefully there are, but there may not be, but will there be changes in these metrics for that target population? So what we're asking for is, before the vans were implemented in this baseline period, what were these metrics for that population in this baseline period? And then we'll track those metrics for this population in every year of the reporting periods. So we ask you for that target population, for only those who were on active formal supervision and homeless that you identified, what was the total number of bench warrants issued for failure to appear to court? And we have definitions here for these in the data reporting guide as well. And then also the number of petitions of violation that were submitted to the court by the probation department for failure to report to probation. Okay. And we have a whole bunch of nuances here, but I do want to point out that the count is the total number of warrants or the total number of petitions. It's not a unique count of individuals. So one person during that reporting period could have multiple warrants for failure to appear, or could have had multiple petitions filed. And we would want you to count all of those warrants and all of those petitions. So hopefully that addresses some questions there. We also recognize that you may be tracking other metrics that are specific to your project and pertinent to your project that you may want to share. And so we provided space for that as well here with question number 7. So if you are tracking metrics for the target population that you would like to share, just enter the name of that metric here in the table, share with us the definition, and then report the value. If you are reporting additional metrics, we do ask that you report them across each reporting period. And then also, of course, that definition remains consistent across the reporting periods. And also that those metrics are for the target population as well. Okay. We do recognize that there may be unique circumstances in your county that may impact these metrics as well. So you have other things going on in your county besides these vans that may be impacting these metrics and cause them to rise or fall as well. So we would like you to share that context with us. So any information that would be useful and to appropriately interpret those metrics as they maybe shift and change over the years, please share that here with us. So that would, give anyone who's using this information, the appropriate context around it as well. Okay. Any questions about the baseline performance metrics before I move on? I do want to say that hopefully you all can report failure to appear in court and the failure to report to probation. If you can't, you can report a U for unavailable, but we're, really hopeful that these are metrics that you all can provide and something we would be able to provide across all grantees over time. Okay. Not hearing any questions on any in chat, I will move on. So there is one question in chat that says, if I remember correctly, target population was also at risk of being homeless. Did that change? Yes, we did take out the at risk of being homeless. So we did modify the definition to just include homeless. At risk of being homeless was a little difficult to define and outside the scope of specifically what the legislation that founded the grant required. So we found that to be a little reaching beyond what was the intent of the grant. So we did nix that. So yes, our target population is just active formal supervision and homeless. Yeah, so we did hear your feedback that would be difficult to define and pulled that out. So thank you all for that. All right. So that concludes our data that we're requesting for that baseline period. But as I did mention, you will see this content that's information that's being requested repeated in the subsequent progress reports for the period in which the grant is being covered. So we'll ask this again for each year of the grant cycle. Okay. So section B of this first annual progress report now focuses on what you've done in that first year of the grant period. And so this would be referring to, pardon me, I'm going to scroll over here to this period here of July 1, 2023 through June 30th, 2024. So this first year of grant funding, asking about the implementation of your project during that period. Okay, so our first question is, where did you use the mobile probation service centers? And we would ask you to check all that apply. So having heard, your report outs, this does, some of you may not have a mobile probation service center being in use by this time period. So you could, in the other, probably just give us a description of not applicable, one wasn't in use at this time. So, but if you do have one in use, please let us know all of the places you have used it. Hopefully we've hit, the big areas where you guys are using them, and a lot of what you described today in your report outs are in here. We have churches, community events like parades, things like that. So hopefully we've hit all the big ones, but if we haven't, select other and then just give us a description here in this text box. Okay. We also want to know if you have any formal operational agreements with agencies to provide services to people using those mobile probation service centers. So this is really specifically around people in other agencies going out with the probation officers where the vans are being used or the trucks or trailers and providing services at that location. So if you had an agreement established to do that type of work at any point during that reporting period, please let us know who you have that agreement with. And that would tell us, so the way we would interpret that is the individual staff from those agencies are providing services with the van. And if we didn't, list all of the appropriate entities here, please select other, and then of course use the text box to provide a description of what that entity or agency is.
Casey?
Yes.
In that area, are you speaking in as we're creating actual partnerships and working in conjunction, or if we're all attending an event that was already set up, because it's something we're considering, is it's already an established event and we're just kind of partaking at the event in the sense of like, it's a homeless kind of outreach situation and we're just showing up? Are we then considered that's a partnership and for this sake, or is it just we can move on without worrying about that situation.
I wouldn't describe the situation that I wouldn't classify the situation you described as a formal partnership to provide services with the van, because you're just happening to all be at the same event. I'm talking about, somebody from, County Health and Human Services every Wednesday is going out with the van to a homeless encampment.
Okay, perfect. I just want to make sure.
Thank you. That's an excellent question. Thank you. Okay. Moving on to services offered. We'd also like you to describe the services or select the services that were available to people directly through those mobile service centers. So we only want you to select those that were provided directly by the probation officers traveling with the vans or the mobile service centers, the staff of partner agencies traveling with them, or provided through remote connections only made possible by the van and its amenities to people directly at the location of the van. So these are services provided directly to people by use of the van and the staff who accompany the van. Do not check services that are only provided by referral. So for example, if you are talking with a client, you're in the van at a homeless encampment talking with a client and refer them to mental health services, but they didn't actually receive the mental health services there, you wouldn't check mental health services then in that instance. So we want those services provided directly to the person where they're at, with the van. Okay. I hope that we've, captured the big ones here. We do have definitions in the data reporting guide on what we mean by basic needs and charging stations and classes and counseling. So please refer to those definitions before you just, check them off. And then there are these services offered will come in play when we're asking about counts of services provided by the van. So these will be repeated in other places in the data reporting template. So in the data dictionary as well, which starts on page 13, there are some instructions on how to count instances, and I'll discuss that again when we get to that section as well. And then we also in this section want you to describe any challenges encountered while implementing this project, specifically during this reporting period, and any highlights or accomplishments that occurred during the reporting period. So again, these focus specifically on this 1 year of time. And there's text box here for you to provide that narrative response. For project highlights, sometimes it's really great to provide success stories of individual probationers. If you do that, we just ask that you do that for adult probationers. And then also, please do not include any identifying information. You can refer to them by initials or, some generic term, but, definitely don't share their name with us, because these are, public documents and they might not want that information out. Okay, any questions right now on this implementation section? All right. So I will move on to the annual data section. This will look very familiar to you. This is capturing the same information that we did in the baseline period, which is, how many mobile probation service centers were in operation as of June 30th, 2024. Again, this is just going to allow us to show the increase over time. And then that may also help us interpret some of the changes in the metrics, right? We wouldn't exactly see reductions and failure to appear if, the vans weren't fully implemented yet. And then finally, how many people were on that active formal supervision and how many people were in the target population. And again, the definition that you used. And this is really us just making sure that you're remaining consistent and thinking about, keeping that definition the same and confirming that with you all. Okay, so Yeah.
We do have a question. In the first report, would we report challenges acquiring vehicles and/or specs?
Yes, absolutely. Please report that in this challenges section. That's definitely, a critical piece of the story around, implementation of the grant projects. Yeah, thank you. All right. Beginning with the first annual progress report in that first year of the grant project, we are asking for the demographics of the target population. So for those people that you report here in number 3, so how many are in the target population? Again, that's active formal supervision and homeless. We'd like you to share with us some of the demographics of that population. In the demographics, we selected our risk level, and this is risk level as measured and determined by a validated criminogenic risk assessment. So examples, COMPASS or as LSCMI. So using that instrument and its guidance of, classifying people as low, moderate, or high, please tell us, the characteristics of this population in terms of their risk level, and then let us know in this final column which tool was used to make that assessment. So if there are 100 people in your target population, when we sum down this column to get this total, it should sum to 100, okay? So if you don't have, if you're not assessing risk level in this way, then you could just enter 100 and unknown did not collect. If you have that information, I'll classify them in the low, medium, and high, but say you didn't get it on some of these individuals, you would, like say 20 of them, you just didn't have that data, you would report the 20 here and the unknown did not collect. Just so it always sums to 100, it helps us, make sure, data quality checks for us. Okay. We also ask you to report gender identity. So we refer to this as self-reported gender identity. We do have definitions starting on page 13 for some of these terms. I know that your guys' systems may not match with the categories we have here. So categorize them the best that you see fit. If you want guidance on how to do that categorization or want to discuss your unique circumstances, I'm more than happy to do that with you all. Just, request that through the mobile probation inbox, and we'll set up a time to meet and discuss that, or we can work out the classification mapping over email or something like that. But you may have to make some judgment calls based on how it's collected in your system to share it here. So, and if you're making those types of, decisions, just tell us that you're doing that, because it kind of helps us when we use the data, use it correctly, or, have the right caveats around it when we're using it. Okay. And I think that answers Larissa's question of, do you want sex if that's all we have? If that's all you have, yes. Just let us know that that's how you're reporting that. And you can do that. There's an additional information section that I'll get to. You don't necessarily have to send me an email if you're comfortable with the way you're, collapsing our categories to match your categories. That's fine. But just tell us you did that in the additional comment section. That would be great. Larissa, does that answer your question? Yes, okay. And then of course we have age. Obviously people may change age during this year time span. So I'm not sure how your guys' systems, you might capture age at a certain point in time. That's fine. If you want to do it as of January 1, 2020, whatever, this was their age and categorize it on that, that's fine. But again, we're just looking for, if you tell us there are 100 people in your target population, when we add down the column here, it should equal 100. And there is some information in the data dictionary around collecting or collapsing the sorry, not collapsing the categories, but determining that date that you do the age run on. And then finally, race, ethnicity. Our collection of race and ethnicity is impacted by 2 government code sections. And if you want to know those and all the details on it, we have a report written up on it that I can share with you. But basically, these may not match with what's in your system and you've collected. Again, similar to the gender identity, use your good judgment to, match our categories or collapse our categories down to what you're collecting. And I'm happy to discuss that with you all if you like, to make sure that we come to, something that we're all comfortable with as well. Okay. But some important things to talk about is the Asian, like for example, in this Asian line, we would have a total and then a breakdown of that total by the different subcategories of Asian, right? So if you tell us you have a total of 20 Asian people, then hopefully you have the breakdowns in this way. But if you don't, just leave 20 here and leave all of these blank. Okay. Same thing here with Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander as well. Again, these breakdowns are here because we are required to collect the data in that way through government code sections. Any questions on the demographic variables? That is just those 4, I believe. Yeah, just those 4. And again, it's just for the target population. And then the next section here is the type and number of services provided through the mobile probation service centers. So again, like the checkbox section above where we're like, only check those that you're providing directly through the probation service center. We only want you to report counts or instances of providing these services if they're provided to people directly through the mobile probation service center. And again, this is capturing instances of providing these services, not necessarily unique people who were served with these services. So for example, somebody might come over that year period every quarter for an office visit. That would be 4 office visits, not 1 office visit. Okay, so there are counts of instances of services being provided, not people being served with that service. Does that make sense to everyone? So in theory, as we're reviewing these reports, if you tell us, in those checkboxes above that, yeah, I'm providing basic needs to people, we expect to see a count here for that. If these are services that you're just not providing through your mobile probation service centers, it's not appropriate to your project, you can just enter NA. But if you are providing those services, we really hope that you can report on the counts of those instances. It's as simple as a daily tally, when the mobile probation van's out that day, just little tally marks on, yep, we did it 5 times this day. So hopefully that's easy enough to collect. We may not have captured all the services that you're providing through the mobile probation service centers. So if there are other services you're providing that you want to report that data to us, we would happily accept it. And so we have spaces here in this table for you to do that as well. So again, the name of the service, kind of a definition of it, and then you can enter the number of instances it was provided during that reporting period here in the final column. We do ask, once a service comes online, and as long as you keep providing it, please report that in every progress report as well. Okay, assuming that you're still providing that service in that reporting period. Right, and then finally, this is not new, but again, for the reporting period, providing the performance metrics for the target population. And then finally, we have a section here for any additional information that you would like to share with us. regarding your project that, you didn't have space to do so, in the previous sections or weren't pertinent to the previous section. So kind of a final catch-all. This is a spot where, if you collapsed our gender identity variables down to just sex, just let us know. In here, that's fine. If you are referring to a specific section in the report to give data caveats or anything like that, please just, let us know the section number or maybe the item number. That may be helpful to us as well. So that concludes at a very high level my overview of the first annual progress report. This is really a standard report for your second and third annual progress report as well. Obviously, just that baseline section won't be included, and we update the dates for the reporting period as well. So the templates are very similar. You're probably not thinking about this now because the final end of project report isn't due until June, sometime after June of 2027. But there is one new section in that end of project report, and it is this overall implementation experience. And within that section, there are five questions that request narrative responses. And it's really about your implementation experience over the entire grant period. So we'll probably talk about that more towards the end of the grant period. But I just wanted to show you here as, a thorough review. So that does conclude my presentation. I just do want to remind you all that I am available after this for any questions that you may have that you didn't ask during this meeting, or as you start to work on your first annual progress report. If you have questions, please email them to that mobile probation inbox. We'll make sure that they get routed to the right person, whether it's me or, staffing changes happen and it's somebody else. And then also look out for that office hours email closer to that August date, where I will schedule with you one-on-one time to talk about any questions that you have that are specific to your project. We really want to help you provide, as much valuable data as you can so that we can demonstrate all the great work you guys are doing with these mobile vans. So that concludes my presentation. I will stop my share and take any final questions you all may have.
No additional questions for Casey? Well, thank you, Casey. That was very informative, but also want to thank you for all the work you put into developing those templates and the effort. It was, I know there was a lot of work that went into that. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
So with that, everyone, the next step on our agenda is the project director's call that we will schedule probably for late summer, early fall, and that'll be to be determined, but it will also be dependent on just sort of the things that shake out as this grant moves forward. So if there's a need to have a meeting earlier, we can do that. If there's not a need to have a meeting in the late summer and the early fall, then we can address that at that time. But feel free to please reach out to us if you have questions. I will remind you, I think Rob said it earlier, please include the mobile probation email on your inquiries. That really helps us. As you guys know, we're still working remotely part-time. We're in the office a couple days of the week. So the team that's working on this grant is not sitting in the same office all the time. And that's one place that we can keep all the information sort of together. So if you email just me and I'm not sharp enough to let Rob know that you asked me a question, sometimes we drop the ball. So that'll really help us as well. So please use that email. So with that, any additional or any last minute questions relative to everything we talked about today, not just Casey's part? All right, hearing none. Thank you all for attending today. I really appreciate you taking the time out on a Friday. have a great weekend.